And the bench for Salford occupied by Adam Wong, Liam Hood, Carl Forster and Olsi Krasnicki, and the coach is Ian Watson. Well, Halifax on the right of the screen and Salford on the left. For Salford, they are expected to win. They know a defeat would be a disaster for them after their 41-10 hiding at Bradford 2 weeks ago. As far as Scott Morrell and the Halifax team are concerned, no pressure on them whatsoever. They are really enjoying this experience, and the coach Richard Marshall knows that it will only stand him, his players and this club in good stead in 2016. The major difference between Salford and Halifax, of course, is that Salford are a Super League club fighting for their survival in 2016. Halifax are a team of window cleaners, they're a team of part-time players, school teachers, and as I say, the pressure is all off them. Well, it's a lovely early autumn afternoon, and the pitch is in magnificent condition. Terry and Barry alongside me. As I say, Terry, there is no pressure whatsoever on Halifax, but on those two, Tim Sheens and Ian Watson, the pressure is mounting.
Well, the pressure's on them, Eddie, because the playing roster, you've read out the team sheets, and you look at this Salford side littered with internationals. You look at Harrison Anton in the forwards, Rennie Matua, Scott Taylor, they've all sampled the international atmosphere. You look at the Halifax side and they've got nothing to prove in this game. They've got to go out there and they've got to play really well and turn up for each other. The first game and the last game that they played at home in this middle-eight qualifiers, they played against Widnes. It was 0-0 at half-time, and Widnes only snuck away with that result the final 2 minutes of the game. It was a real tough contest, and Richard Marshall, well, he knows all about what it's like playing against these Super League sides. He was the assistant coach at Warrington, and he wants to do the job today.
Yes, he does, and Joe Cobb is the match official. He's the man in the middle. Halifax performed a minor miracle to get from nowhere to finish fourth in the championship and take their place in the qualifiers. Okay, they haven't won a match yet. Hull KR might have been badly beaten at Wembley. They lead the race back to Super League in these qualifiers. Their 100% record going on the line against Wakefield tomorrow. Widnes are second, Bradford are fourth, with a real possibility that they'll be back in Super League next year. Wakefield and Salford currently on course for the £1 million game between the teams sitting fourth and fifth at the end of the 7 qualifying games. But that doesn't come until October the 3rd, a week before the first Utility Super League Grand Final. There's a lot of rugby league to be played before that, and these two sides here are hell-bent on giving us quite a show. It's going to be the Salford Red Devils who will get this first half underway. Halifax, they come into the match with nothing to prove, and we'll see how it all unfolds over the next 80 minutes. Here we go, Michael Dobson gets us underway then, and Halifax will have the first use of the football as far as they're concerned. That's the big Australian forward Mitch Callane who took the first collision. That was Ben Kay. He gets the ball away there to Jacob Furbank, and Furbank loses the ball, but it goes backwards, and not more, it was touched according to the referee. So 0 is the tackle shout, and Joe Martin has hold of it for the Halifax Blue Sox.
Eddie, you can already see Salford determined to exert some physical pressure on their opponents. Couple of heavy hits, and the first one on Big Callane straight from the kickoff. I think we're in for a few bell ringers today.
I think so. Halifax Blue Sox, you remember those days when they were in the Super League at the first 6 years of the competition? Great days in this town, and this Halifax team, no longer are they called the Blue Sox, Halifax, they're looking to rekindle that flame. Good run forward here from Tangata. They get to within 23 metres of the line. Ben Kay is waiting at dummy half. He turns it to the right-hand side. That's Morrell. First touch of the ball for him. And tackling required by George Griffin, and lending a little bit of weight, of course, there as well is Scott Taylor. It's Furbank who gets to his feet, plays the ball. Morrell now here. Kicks the ball wide, looking for Saltonstall on this near side. Went a little bit shallower than that. Ball to the in-goal area. Chances here, and they've forced Ben Jones-Bishop over the line. Goal line dropout coming up. Great start for Halifax.
Well, not a bad little kick at all from Connor Robinson, the young Hull KR junior. As the ball goes up into the corner, Tyra bats it back, hoping to find one of his teammates, and Connor Robinson puts it in the space, and wonderful work from Joe Martin.
You know, this is a good opening part of the game for Halifax. You can see what they've done when they're carrying the ball. They're making some good meters, putting Salford under pressure. Let's see what they can do in this next set of 6.
And back they come now with James Saltonstall, well known to Richard Marshall, picked up from the Warrington Wolves Academy has been ever present this year, and looking for the big men. Here comes Culhane again, Australian forward who has been a standout figure for Halifax this year. Kay will have a scamper from dummy half, gets the ball away, and well, they're starting confidently here. Joe Martin gets away from one would-be tackler, and then Patterson and Tompkins get there and bring him down for Salford. Kay once again, they're going down the right once more. Morel, he's got bags of Super League experiences. Scott Morel, left leg heavily bandaged as you see. Ben Kay, good ball from him, good hit also from Tommy Lee.
It was a strong hit. Tommy Lee stopped him in his tracks.
It looked a high shot.
Touch judge is on, he's seen something and not too impressed. Halifax with the tackle. Culhane wasn't impressed at all with that from Tommy Lee.
Well, I'm with you, Eddie. That's a high shot from Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee's the leading tackler for the Salford side. Mitch Culhane, he's been a standout performer, leads by example for the rest of his teammates, just strong carries. And then again, there's another set of 6. Salford haven't touched the ball yet.
Referee wants Salford back on the line. Halifax can move it back as far as they wish. And so here they come again with this man, Culhane again. This is incessant pressure in the opening 3 minutes from the championship side, and yet another penalty, Corey Patterson. So quick tap taken, a dart for the line. Ben Kay will get to his feet. Manning is waiting. Dane Manning gives the ball again to Culhane. And obstruction this time. Obstruction against Halifax. The pressure is relieved on the Red Devils.
There you go. The big fella, he had a decision to make. Did he give it short or go out of the back? He made no decision, kept hold of the ball. And the penalty came off the back of that. Jacob Furbank in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So for the first time this afternoon, Salford with the ball in hand.
And that's Eddie, we've seen what Halifax can do with the ball. Let's see what they like defensively. Whether they can stop the big juggernauts from Salford, just powering forward. Like you see Griffin. Harrison will be next, will he?
Yes, Harrison Hansen will take it forward, the Salford Red Devils skipper. Logan Tompkins in at dummy half. He was released by Wigan in May, and he's made a new life for himself here. Scott Taylor goes down, plays the ball to Tompkins once again. Here comes Corey Patterson. It's a good run up the middle from the big Australian. Down he goes though, and that's the last tackle coming up then for Salford. Tompkins to Dobson, running it here with Matua. Not the best kick though from Matua, straight to Morel. And Morel will take it forward and take on Dobson.
Well, let's give Richard Moore, the Halifax number 16, some credit. He got off the line, and the man who normally kicks the ball for Salford was Michael Dobson. He was put under pressure, so that means that Rennie Matua had to kick the ball, which it wasn't a good kick, and Salford get the ball back in decent field position.
Saltonstall to his feet. He will play the ball once again. And here come Halifax with Dane Manning. Began at Leeds, did Dane Manning, then went on to Featherstone and Batley, so he's got lots of experience, as has that man Morel. His kicking game today will be so important. That stands up, that kick, and it almost put Niall Evalds off, but he dealt with the threat well, the Salford fullback.
Well, just choosing to kick the ball in behind this man who's returning it, Greg Johnson, on the fourth play. So this might be a ploy for Halifax. Kick early when the winger's up in the line.
Halifax have lost all 3 of these middle eights so far. Disappointed to lose to Sheffield 2 weeks ago. They had beaten Eagles here at the Shea in July by 38 points to 10. They lost at the Keepmoat Stadium 24-28. Rob Warrensey, ex of Halifax, he ran in a hat-trick of tries to really rub salt in the wound a fortnight ago. But Richard Marshall, since he's come here from the Warrington Wolves, he has done a fantastic job. And they've come from nowhere to get into these middle eight qualifiers.
It wasn't that a good kick from Salford. They were restricted to just 30 metres carrying the ball, and that defence from Salford forcing the mistake. They kicked it to space, they found the ground, and then Saltonstall, when he brings the ball back, he's got to make sure he holds on to it. When you're going into contact against some of these big Salford players, you've got to make sure you have control on that ball.
And what we've seen in these middle eight games is often the experience of the Super League team. And it's a big shot, big hit, and the ball gets dislodged, but the experience of the Super League team is in the detail. So the kick was put in, and the 2 chasers, Saltonstall being one of them, they perhaps took the time a little bit too much. And Ian Watson and Tim Sheens, two vastly experienced players, vastly experienced coaches, might just use that ploy again.
That's Ian Thornley, who is here till the end of the season at Salford on loan from Wigan. It's now Ben Jones-Bishop, try against Lee last month, looking for another one here, as Tompkins from the dummy half finds Lee, who in turn gets it away to his skipper Harrison Hansen, and Halifax having to muscle up here in defence. They're right underneath those Halifax sticks. Tompkins to Lee, gives it to Dobson, goes further wide. That's good defence on Niall Evans though. Oh, he keeps the movement going though somehow. Dobson, oh, then a mistake. It could not be taken in by Josh Griffin.
Well, you just can't switch off, can you, against this Salford side? Even when you think that the tackle's complete, they're offloading the ball. Michael Dobson, who tries to drop the ball underneath to Josh Griffin. Unfortunately, takes his eyes off the ball. He does everything right. Michael
That's Dobson. A win for Halifax in many ways.
Yeah, it is. Well, they need that, Eddie, because we've seen that when they're carrying the ball, they're good, but when the defence has been examined, they've got to stand up as well, and they've done that.
Apparently, from all accounts, they've received a bit of an ear bashing from the owner, Marwan Kukash, Salford, after their display at Odsal last week in the dressing room.
Good tackle. Corey Patson dipped and sprung into action there, and Dane Manning felt that. Is that a forward pass?
Called a forward pass.
Again, you can't keep handing possession over. We saw it last night in the game where St Helens played Leeds. Continued mistakes at this end of the pitch, and Halifax could end up paying the ultimate price. And it's a big day for Scott Morrell, 30 today. So, young Scott Morrell, I knew him when he was 15 or 16-year-old, joining the academy at the Rhinos. Happy birthday, Scott.
Yes, happy birthday. And there is the banner that's hanging from the stand on the far side. And happy birthday from the grand old man of the Leeds Rhinos, Barry McDermott. Here now is Tommy Lee, and Tommy Lee just drops the pass off to Ben Jones-Bishop. Well, he was once upon a time with the Leeds Rhinos anymore. That chapter is now closed. Here is Scott Taylor. Taylor struggling to his feet. Plays the ball to Logan Tompkins. That's Dobson. Dobson goes wide and finds Matua. And there are 4 blue and white hoop jerseys all round him. Tompkins to Dobson. Here's Patterson, looking to open up this Halifax defence. Talking to Richard Marshall yesterday, said this is what we do quite well, actually. We're good defenders. They have to be here because this is Lee, finds Hansen. Hansen gets it away, and Eccles is over the line for the first Salford try. Standout figure in a difficult year for Salford. 16th try of the season there for him. He's their top try scorer, his second try in these Middle 8 qualifiers. And the Salford Red Devils take a 4-0 lead in the opening 10 minutes. Kick to come.
He's a brilliant talent, isn't he? He made his debut in 2013. This is the mistake. You can't keep turning the ball over when you've got a team like Salford with so many star players who want to attack. They want him to get into good field position, and you can see the movement from the players. They go one way, they bring the ball back to the other side, and you've got Niall Evans who just hits a hard line, catches a couple of lazy defenders, and just does enough to get over that try line.
So Josh Griffin to try and add the extras, which he does with comparative ease. So it's 6-0 to the Super League side. The Super League side that's down in these qualifiers because they haven't had the greatest season despite their playing register.
And they had a bad run to put them in this position, but at one stage, at one point, it looked like they could be in the top Super 8, challenging for one of those top 4 spots. And as Tez has said there, they've played for that. They're looking at some of those big blokes that might just clock off, and they caught 1 or 2 of them napping there. Niall Evans gets the first try.
Massive experience on the coaching bench in the shape of Tim Sheens, still at this moment the Australian national coach. That of course has to be sorted out down under, whether he will continue with that role or whether he will return here to Salford and the Super League, providing they're back in the Super League of course next year. This would be a massive step towards that goal if they win here this afternoon. And Griffin will take them on down the left-hand side. He's got Johnson with him. He finds Johnson with a short pass, and Johnson hacks the ball forward, and there's a chance here for Evans to get his second try, and I think he has. Great try that from Salford. They've obviously spotted a weakness down that left-hand side. They went over there and the ball was given to Johnson by Josh Griffin, and he hacks it forward, and Niall Evalds, he's quick, this young full-back, and he's over for his second try of the match, and his second try in about a minute and a half.
Well, beautiful movement, Eddie. They find the overlap, and Griffin feeds his winger. He has no room to work in, and Greg Johnson puts it on the end of his boot, and he still has some work to do, Niall Evalds. And often players, when that ball is bobbling about, they can make the wrong decision. Good stuff from the winger, puts it back inside. He knows there's going to be at least one player tracking up. And Michael Dobson allows Evalds to pick that up and get the second try for the Super League team.
Tremendous try from Salford, that. Well done, Greg Johnson, because to kick the ball at that sort of pace, with that sort of accuracy, outstanding skill. And Josh Griffin adds the extras, and Salford have gone into a 12-0 lead in the last couple of minutes. An interested spectator, Steve-O on the right-hand side of your screen, and Billy Painter, one of our production staff here at Sky Sports, who is a massive Halifax fan, by the way. He's actually persuaded Steve-O to part with money to get in today.
I believe Billy would right about now be showing him where the bar is.
Oh, hang on a moment. Steve-O's right behind Marwan Kukash. I bet there's some complimentary tickets changed hands. So 12-0 Salford. Just the start they needed. Marwan, as I say, in the dressing room last week, or 2 weeks ago, after the defeat by Bradford, we all were wondering what reaction he would get and what reaction Tim Sheens would get as well, and Ian Watson. And the news this week that Rangi Chase out of the side and suspended for a breach of club discipline, apparently. Wondered how they would react to that, but it looks as though they're all together and all singing off the same page at the moment.
Well, there's always going to be a reaction after getting beaten when they played against Bradford. In the way that they've started here, Eddie, they're all playing with their eyes up. The key players for Salford, and likes of Corey Patterson, Michael Dobson, Tommy Lee, Logan Tompkins, they're playing eyes up football, and that's the reason why they scored the last try. They spotted Scott Morrell on the wing, so he said if they spotted a weakness, maybe not a weakness, but someone who just wasn't quite as quick as the edge players of Greg Johnson.
In the Super 8s themselves, Wigan Warriors playing the Catalan Dragons at the Den, the home of Millwall Football Club, and Wigan have taken a 6-0 lead there, as you probably saw going away at the bottom of your screen. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff there as well, so we'll endeavour to keep you up to date with what's happening at Millwall while we watch the events unfold here. And Ben Jones-Bishop has hold of it for Salford. Tompkins, the dummy half. Here is Dobson looking for the runners. It's Corey Patterson. That was an important tackle that was needed there by Culhane. Dodgy play the ball. Dobson finds Lee. Long pass wide. How did he keep that ball in? But he did. Still going, Salford. Here is George Griffin. George Griffin now to Tompkins. Tompkins trying to get Patterson through the gap. Knock on.
Well, they look like they're having fun today. Ben Jones-Bishop on tackle 3 was infield, which meant that Niall Evalds had slotted out to the wing. And during that passage of play, it came back inside. And Richard Moore's just in the eye line of Corey Patterson. If Corey Patterson catches that, that's the 3rd try of the afternoon. And a shell-shocked Halifax would have been behind the sticks for the 3rd time, thinking, well, what's happened here?
Would you think that ball was a bit too early from Logan Tompkins then?
I think it was the right decision to pass it, and I think if Corey Patterson was to answer, could you have caught, he'd have probably said yeah.
Well, it was a fantastic start by Halifax, but for the last, 10 minutes, they've been on the back foot. They've been defending their own line. They've conceded 2 tries. Can they get now up the other end of the field? Can they produce something at the other end to give Salford something to think about? They're going down the right-hand side.
And it shows, Eddie, that the games about possession for these lower teams that have come up from the Championship, as they get a penalty here, the ball stripped from Rennie Matua. And this is what they need. They need those repeat sets of 6. They need to buy those cheap meters where they can challenge Salford close to the line. Because you know themselves, when they've got someone like Scott Morrell with all the experience that he's got, and Connor Robinson, the ex-Hull KI youngster, they've got the players that can cause some problems, but they just need that field position.
5th penalty of the match, 3rd penalty going Halifax's way. As Terry says, they needed that really, just to relieve the pressure even more. This fella's seen much of it, hasn't he? Mitch Culhane in the opening 16 minutes of this game. Kay gets the ball away to Morel, and here comes Tangata again. Trying to pierce a hole down the middle. Quick play the ball needed, and he got one. This is Ben Kay, who a little fumble from the number 22, Jacob Furbank, hanging on to it. Kay again stands in there at dummy half, 10 metres away from the line. Good ball, and a chance here for Tyra, and it's play on, says the referee, and Dane Manning is in. The referee said play on twice, and Halifax did play on, and Dane Manning gets exactly what Halifax required. A response to that two-try salvo from the Red Devils about 5 minutes ago. First real possession they've had since the opening 5 minutes, and they've made it pay.
And it all comes about from that penalty from Rennie Matua, and this is what they need to do. Just hit a good hole. Steve Tyler gets the offload inside to Dane Manning. In his 4th year here at Halifax, seems to enjoy playing here with the old blue socks, Eddie. And you can see when he goes onto that ball, you just need to push up, you just need to keep turning up for your teammates in defence and attack, and that's exactly what Dane Manning did on that occasion.
Oh yeah, you're right, 4 years at Halifax, 23rd consecutive start for Dane Manning. He got a try at Hull KR in the qualifiers. And he's got 9 tries in the 9 wins that they had to get into these middle 8 qualifiers, Dane Manning. But here is Steve Tyra now to try and add the extras. Tyra manages that, and so Halifax on the board well and truly. Halifax 6, Salford 12.
Well, Connor Robinson does a good job in the setup at this. Just before the ball is played, he's pushing people around, he's telling them where he needs them to be to execute that pass, and when Tyra flops the ball back into the path of Dane Manning, prolific he's been this year, only missed 1 game, and Richard Marshall will know that there's going to be ebbs and flows in this game, and the momentum is going to swing from side to side. If when his side has momentum, they score points, then they'll make a game of it.
Well, as I say, they are delighting in being in the qualifiers, testing themselves against the Super League clubs that they're going to face in this 7-game programme. And of course the club in the spotlight again, back on television, welcoming us here today with open arms, delighted that we're here, and we're delighted that we're here as well. And Dane Manning, by the way, with that try that he's just scored, that's now 13 for the season. That's a career best total for Dane Manning during the course of 1 rugby league season. So they have the talent, as they're proving here, Halifax. They like to play with a little bit of flair, like to play with a little bit of vim and vigour, and this ball goes high off the boot of Morel. It's a bit deep though. Ben Jones-Bishop's underneath it. He had to get away from one of his own players. Niall Evans had come back as well and nearly collided with him. So it doesn't make any ground forward.
Sorry, Eddie, that's another brilliant set of 6, isn't it? This is exactly where Halifax need to play the game. Be very disciplined in defence here, get off the line, look to tackle, look to belt the opposition. Don't just sit back and wait for them and rock on your heels waiting for them to run at you.
Yes, it's a part-time side against a full-time Super League side here, and Tangata just having too much time and rolling across the grounded player. Well, gives away the penalty.
We've seen Ben Kay come out the line and put an half-decent shot on, which meant that Tangata then could wrap the player up in Foster, but you can't give that penalty away. Again, that's just all the hard work that you've done in the previous set of 6 from scoring the try. You've marched up the pitch, you've got Ben Jones-Bishop trapped underneath the sticks, and then you give that penalty away.
Game for the purists in many ways, this Halifax team. They do 8-hour shifts in their day jobs. They train 2-3 nights a week, and then they come out and they take on some of the full-time players from the Super League. And to be fair to them, in the opening 20 minutes, there's no disgrace here.
And that's the challenge, Eddie. That's the challenge for them. They're up against a side that was put together from Marwan Kukash, paid lots of money. There was a mistake from Salford, but it was assembled a couple of years ago, hand-picked some of the best players from all the clubs in Super League. Things haven't gone well for Salford, but that's the challenge for Halifax. They've got to go out there and they've got to make a name for themselves.
And that's what they're doing here, because they put Logan Tompkins under pressure. He slips the pass away. Harrison Hansen can't take it in. When you think about it, you know, there's no Randy Chase, there's no Adrian Morley, there's no Junior Sow. He was in the 19, but not selected today. Lamatazi as well. A lot of experience missing from Salford.
No Darryl Griffin, Theo Fage. There is Eddie.
He's another one.
And experience missing for various reasons, it has to be said.
Yeah, there is, Eddie, but still, you'd think that with Salford's team that they've got out there, the players that's free for them to fit Ian Watson, you think that they'd come up here and they'd be confident of doing a job, as we've said, especially after that defeat when they played against Bradford.
Yes, he'd be looking for a response, Ian Watson. He got a response in the 2 minutes where they scored the 2 tries. Hull KR against Wakefield from these qualifiers is available tomorrow on the Sky Sports for iPad app and Sky Sports Extra, which is the channel available on our website. 3 o'clock start for that tomorrow. And Hull KR coming back after their Wembley nightmare. Catalan Dragons have equalised in London against the Wigan Warriors. 6 apiece down there, 6-12 here. Halifax on a comeback trail of their own, but at the moment it is Johnson who's in control of the ball for the Salford Red Devils.
And just going back to Ian Watson, I think before I mistakenly said that they were vastly experienced coaches. Of course, Tim Sheens is a vastly experienced coach, but Ian Watson is vastly experienced at rugby league at this level. Spent a large part of his career in or around the middle tier of rugby league, so he'll know what's required at this level to get the win against Halifax.
Indeed so, learning from the table of the master in Tim Sheens. He's also, of course, had some time when he was at Swinton, being tutored by Tony Smith, because Swinton and Warrington had the dual registration arrangement at the time.
And Eddie, we were talking, me and Tez, before the game. We played with Watto, Ian Watson. We played with him at Widnes. A fantastic rugby brain, great thinker of the game. And if he can translate and communicate that to his players, then he's got the making of a fabulous coach.
Ian Watson's that old, is he?
He was very young, and we were very young.
We were old, Eddie.
Well, this is Richard Marshall's team who are in charge now. That's the Halifax team. And Ben Kay wants to get on with it. He's a robust little player, is Ben Kay. He began his Super League career at Leeds. He's also had spells at London as well in the Super League. So we're talking about the Salford experience. There's a smattering of experience in this Halifax team as well, and that's a very good quick. Will it just run too long? Yes, it does.
Just too much on that. Couple of Salford plays now. Harrison Hansen, Scott Taylor just getting back behind the line, so it's not going to be a quick play. You can see that the Halifax line are all set, they're all talking. Do you know what? They're working very hard for each other, and looking at what they're doing in defence. They're talking, they're pushing, they're prodding, they're pointing up, they're nominating who they're going to get. And they know when they go into this man, Rennie Matua, they've got to be strong. Such a powerful player, the ex-Featherstone.
Yes, he was allowed to leave Matua by Featherstone and come to Salford when Featherstone missed out on the qualifiers. Eccleston here, meanwhile, penalised for a ball steal.
And if they're going to go on to win the game, they can't do this. This has been happening for the majority of the opening 25 minutes. They've had some good field position, and then when they've switched off and they've been defending and they're trying to win those collisions, they're trying to win those play the balls, just a little snatch at the ball that relieves all the pressure. And I'm sure that that's what Richard Marshall will be saying to his team at half-time. Just cut out the mistakes when we're bringing the ball away in yardage and make sure that we're very disciplined when we're defending.
Dobson's penalty then finds touch over on the far side. We'll start this next set 23 metres away from the Halifax line. What can they produce here? As Krasnicki gets to his feet, plays the ball to Tompkins. Here comes Scott Taylor now. Scott Taylor, who is on his way to a 4-year deal with Hull FC in 2016. Bullet pass looking for Hansen, found Hansen, but Halifax found him.
And they did well there because there was a lot of numbers rushing up at them then, a lot of Salford shirts.
Ball is smuggled back to Logan Tompkins. Here is Scott Taylor! And Scott Taylor gets over the line, but the referee is not too happy yet.
Eddie, I think they're going to go back for an obstruction here.
They've got a no-try decision on the field. So they've got two things to look at: the obstruction possibility Terry just mentioned, and Joe Cobb also thinks that he is short in the touchdown. Phil Bentham, Tom Crashley, the video referees today.
Watch out for Carl Foster. He's the runner coming out of the back. Is anybody obstructed by Olsi Krasnicki? I don't believe so. I think this is a try. The first instinct was that it was a try.
Well, he looks to go through the defenders. Does he touch Dane Manning here? Is the contact there?
Dane Manning makes the tackle.
Yeah, he comes in and makes the tackle, but is there sufficient contact? Do you think that's play on?
I think it's play on.
So now they're just going to look and see whether this is short of the line or on the whitewash. And it's short, and it's a double movement.
Yeah, so the obstruction, that's fine. When Scott Taylor, I think you're quite right, I think. His left arm touches the floor, and then it's the second movement, which lifts the ball up, does his elbow, does the ball touch the ground? Is there a second movement? I believe there is.
Yeah. So don't forget, they have to find conclusive proof that that should be turned down, the no-try decision. They've given the no-try on the field. It looks like a double movement as far as we're concerned, but Phil Bentham and Tom Crashley are the men who are important. Joe Cobb has been given that decision in his ear.
Well, he's not penalised him.
He's decided, or the video referees have decided, it wasn't a double movement then.
Well, there we go.
And here is Eccles, good hit. Gets the ball away, dab to the in-goal area, that flicked everywhere. And it's a goal line dropout.
Well, that was good defence. I think, was it Saltonstall again who come in, who saved a certain try. Good defence on Nyla Valls. And then the ball's kicked forward. And then Halifax, well, not taking any chances. George Griffin with a kick, the ricochet off the Halifax player, and then just get off the field and play.
Good work from Luke Ambler for Halifax. Just going back to that video referee's decision, as Wigan lead the Catalan Dragons now 12-6 at Millwall in London. The video referees decided, although the ball was promoted, he didn't make it to the line anyway. Yeah. So that's why
it wasn't a double movement.
No double movement, and play on with the tackle count carrying on. This is Ian Thornley now. Thornley gets that ball away. That's knocked on. Well, they're coming up with the errors, Salford.
Well, again, they're pushing Halifax around the pitch. They're offloading the ball, and you can say when the Salford forwards are carrying it, they're looking very strong. Ian Thornley with the offload. But as soon as he gets rid of that ball, it's dipping, making it a tough carry. This is what I like about Halifax. Look at the enthusiasm from Ben Kay. He's hurrying his plays to play the ball very quickly. They're running very hard. They're trying to break free, land on the front, and give him an opportunity.
The one thing you have to say is that in the end, you would imagine superior fitness might pay for Salford, but so far there's no sign of fatigue for the Halifax team.
Well, that's the theory, Eddie, but if Salford keep giving the ball away, as Halifax have been guilty of in different periods, then they'll tire in exactly the same way as Halifax will.
Richard Moore, a real old warhorse, isn't he? Richard Moore, I mean, loving this battle with Halifax in the qualifiers against the Super League teams, as Greg Johnson takes it down that left-hand side again. That's good defence. That's good defence on Griffin, but I think the referee, what's he said here? Shrill blow of the whistle. Is it simply that he's out of play and it's going to be a scrum down? I guess it is. Scrum, head and feet, Halifax.
I think it's a poor decision to pass this pass, to make this pass. Greg Johnson passes it on. Just look at the space Josh Griffin has got here. Wonderful stuff from Halifax. A great team tackle. If you see Scott Morrell get up, punches there. He doesn't cut the stealth-like figure he used to when he was a young lad, but he's very effective.
And it's that extra effort from Scott Morrell that forces Griffin into touch. You can just see it. I think that his arm, does he go into touch there? Is it touch? Well, his knees in touch.
His knees are over the line.
Yeah. His head, his shoulders,
elbows, knees.
And good bumps of daisy. Elbows, knees and bumps of daisy. They're all over the line. So chance for Halifax here then. With Steve Tyrer, gets to his feet, plays the ball to Ben Kay. A drive up the middle from Dane Manning, the try scorer. That's the second tackle. And Kay will take it up the middle. Morrell goes wide again. Oh, it's on the bounce, it's not the best. But pretty well done for all of that by Ben Heaton. And here's a penalty now.
And another high tackle.
Another high shot, and Heaton hasn't moved.
And again, Rennie Matua, big, powerful player that he is. Again, just going high on Ben Heaton. He comes in off the wing, steps off his right foot, steps into that swinging right arm from the ex-Aussie international.
And Ben Heaton felt that. He's a roofer by trade, is Ben Heaton. Be back up the ladder on Monday. Wonder if he'll have a tale to tell.
Unless he's got concussion,
Well,
and he won't be allowed,
he shouldn't
Eddie.
go up the ladder, absolutely not.
And he won't remember the tale
Health and
anyway.
safety, Eddie, health and safety.
Well, they only need to listen to you two to know that they've got to be very careful. This is Scott Morrell, and he gets the ball away to Culhane again. And Manili is waiting at dummy half once that tackle is disentangled. Manili off the ground, a drive in then from Ambler. Salford having to muscle up in defence against the championship side. It's a nice little step that was from Manili again. Martin fires the pass wide. And here's a chance now for Andy Braychek. Manili again, they're on the last tackle here. Morrell will put the kick in. And again, it's knocked forward this time, knocked forward by Tyra, and so a free play for Salford. Referees will call that as a 0. They have 6 from here.
We've got a couple of cracking hookers about to join the fray. You saw Ryan Manili, the number 21. He's joined the pitch from Halifax. Got loads of energy. Another Warrington Academy product that Richard Marshall has come across. And of course, we've got Liam Hood, who'll come on for Salford. Bags of energy, bags of speed and enthusiasm. So it'll pick up pace when Hoodie gets on.
Half an hour gone. Halifax of the championship giving themselves a really good account against the Salford Red Devils. Salford, who are desperate for the win after their defeat at Bradford a fortnight ago. Halifax have yet to record a win in these qualifiers.
There's Liam Hood now.
Good little run from him.
And that's his signature play. Anytime there's a quick play of the ball, he's just off from dummy half.
Lee, of course, who is another hooker, but playing today at standoff because of the absence of Rangi Chase. Oh, and there's good chase by Ben Jones, Bishop and Harrison Hansen.
That's brilliant, that.
It's outstanding work. Ben Jones Bishop, he makes the initial contest, but the old warhorse Harrison Hansen taking a captain's lead and chasing nice and hard. You see both players, and there's Thornley in there for good luck as well.
These are just little plays, honest plays. There's not much in them, Eddie, but that's what wins you games. Keep turning around the opposition, kick it into corner, and chase as hard as you can.
Former Leeds man. And Jones Bishop signed in the close season. 10 tries for Leeds Rhinos last year. His career at Headingley ended somewhat prematurely. Decided to come over and join the Salford Revolution. And Liam Hood again at dummy half. Ooh, that's a slack pass, but it's come off for Chris Foster.
Now the Vals have scored a try. They're looking at testing those big forwards again for Halifax. Take the ball away from them, test them back on the inside.
Here's Foster again. Seemed to be having a fitness test immediately before the match over on the far side. Chris Foster obviously given the green light to play. It's Dobson, gets the ball away to Matua. He's trying to use his strength, Matua, to get over the line. So close, but he's held up just short. And Liam Hood is there, and he goes down that left-hand side, finds Greg Johnson, and Greg Johnson dives over the line for the 3rd Salford try. Well, he's been on the wing virtually all season for all but 4 of the 28 games they've played now. The man from Batley in 2013, Greg Johnson. The try against Lee was the first since the magic weekend against Widnes in May, and he is his 2nd in these qualifiers.
Well, Rennie Matua fights really hard. There's 3 men in attendance. You watch Liam Hood as he approaches this player the ball. All his body, all his motion, he's all looking towards the open side. He has a bit of a shunt and a dummy to go out to the open, and then intelligently flicks it off to his winger, who's hugging the touchline.
No communication there. Adam Robinson, the sub who's come on for Halifax, he needs to be better. I know that when you've got Liam Hood who comes on, who's so explosive from dummy half, so close to the line, and Ian Watson and Tim Sheens, they'll be happy with the response. They know they've been under pressure. That was a good try for Salford.
It was a good try for Salford. They'll be breathing slightly easier now, and even easier if he manages to kick this. But he hasn't got the direction, hasn't got the legs either. So 16-6 to Salford.
Well, the ruck is the focal point of the rugby game. And when you look at the ruck and you look at Liam Hood, you say, right, I've got to deal with him first. But you can't take your eyes off the winger, and that's exactly what Ben Heaton does. You can see Adam Robinson, he gets his head on the wrong side of the play of the ball. He needs to be stood on the right side of the play of the ball, defending that try line, defending Liam Hood, which would allow Ben Heaton then to look up and face that man in front of him.
We're watching two, I was going to say former Super League clubs here, but you can't call Salford that just yet because they are fighting for their Super League lives in these qualifiers. Halifax are certainly a former Super League club. They were founder members of the competition in 1996. Salford promoted at the end of that first year, and they spent 6 of the first 7 years in Super League at the start of the competition, involved in the Super League story. These two sides. Of course, Salford now well and truly back in there, and Hull KR will face Bradford next Saturday on Sky Sports 5 at 3 o'clock. Hull KR fighting for their lives. Bradford relegated at the end of last season. Here's a penalty for Salford. This won't do them any favours. Halifax, Adam Robinson penalised.
Again, at the back end of the set, you can see Liam Hood when he goes from dummy half. I say that's his strength. You can't control him. You're trying to get set. You're trying to get in front of him, so it's not quick play of the ball. Unfortunately, it's a penalty.
Not interested in the 2 points on offer, Salford. They're going for 6 and a richer reward as Liam Hood fires the pass down the left-hand side. And Dobson is going nowhere because there were 3 around him. Hood's in there again. Adam Waln looks for the runners. It's Lee. This is Evols. He's on a hat-trick. He gives the ball to Thornley. Here is Ben Jones-Bishop. He dances through the defence, Ben Jones-Bishop, and he gets the try. And Halifax cannot afford to give away penalties close to their own line, because each and every time they have done that, it seems to me, Salford have made them pay, and Ben Jones-Bishop with the latest of the Salford Red Devils tries.
Well, Eddie, I agree with you. That's been their undoing, hasn't it, in this first half? They look at how they've conceded the points, where have the points come from, where they've given up that field position, and this is where it's come from. You've got to make sure that you get your bodies in front. Coaches talk about having good contact, and as Barry says, Liam Hood, when he comes on, he injects that bit of pace. And when they go to this side, well, Ben Jones-Bishop, how many times have we seen him, when he's been playing for Leeds Rhinos, come up with some fabulous long-range tries? This might not have the distance, but it's certainly got the accuracy, and it's certainly got the 4 points.
Well, it's a good finish, Ted, I agree, but it's the 2 passes before it. Niall Avels holds up the defenders, then it's quick hands from Ian Thornley.
So Josh Griffin then now with the chance to add the extras. And he's kicked it. So successful kick for Josh Griffin, his 3rd success. 22 points to 6.
We'll get another look at Niall Evans. He gets this ball. He has think time. He takes it right to the teeth of defence. Thornley has no time to think because, as we've seen before, Saltonstall, he has an up and in technique of defending, and you take the risk when you do that. And the outside man, the edge defender or the edge attacker, Ben Jones-Bishop, gets over.
Salford back in possession, of course, from the kick-off. Halifax will not want to concede another try as we approach half-time, because that could see the game slipping completely away from them. It's a big enough task as it is at this moment in time.
And with the scoreboard as they can still rescue this game. Eddie, Richard Marshall knows that he's got to come up with a decent team talk at half-time, get his troops focused, and again, they'll return to that. You've got to make sure that you're disciplined, because that, I think, is the only thing that's letting Halifax down at present.
Deep kick from his own 40 by Tommy Lee. Didn't quite get the angle right, but he's turned the ball over deep in Halifax territory, which is good news for Salford, and that's a great chase.
Well, that's one of the little things, and I talked about it in the first 5 minutes. Joe Martin, he didn't show enough urgency to get to the ball, and on that occasion, when he had the ball in possession, he didn't have enough urgency. With an upright body position, he ended up getting shunted back.
Good play the ball by Halifax, though. They're making metres upfield.
4, Adam, release him. Hold the 10, wait. Go, good. 4.
lone carry, Eddie. That's not a good sign. There's nobody pushing up. If he gets his arm free, where's his teammates?
So the kick here from Connor Robinson goes straight into the arms of Niall Evalds. Tommy Lee finds Ben Jones-Bishop.
Well, a big couple of minutes for Halifax now because they can't concede. They try. This is danger time for them.
Oh,
that's another good shot.
Great hit by Andy Braycheck.
That was a big shot. Former Saints, Warrington and Crusaders forward.
I think he's felt that, Carl Foster. That's
there's a bit of
Chris
blood.
Foster, I beg your pardon. Oh, there is blood, you're right.
Some blood there on Foster.
So does that mean it was a bit of a high shot? Let's have a look.
I think there might be a head clash
head
there.
Clash of heads, yes.
There it is. And Foster stays down. That could be a nose or an eyebrow. There's definitely some blood or red sweat, depending on how you look at it.
So Chris Foster needing some running repairs. Carl Foster, I beg your pardon.
You know, Eddie, obviously you don't want to see players injured lying on the ground. You can see him Watson saying it's just a head clash. But that tackle from Braycheck should inspire the people around him. When he looks at the side of him and he looks at the likes of Robinson, he looks at the likes of Richard Moore, that's got to lift you. You've got to get off your line and you've got to try and intimidate your opponents. You've got to be big, you've got to be strong. And Richard Marshall, I say, he'll be looking for that urgency in the second half. He'll be looking to play on the front foot, give Ben Kay something to go off, or even Ryan McNeely. So it's going to be a big 40, and there's going to be a changeover here now for Carl Foster.
It's a good point you make, says Andy Braycheck. He's a very experienced forward. He's probably said to himself, look, I'm not letting these forwards have their own way today. They're not getting the time, they're not getting the space. I'm going to get up, put my body on the line, and it looks like Carl Foster will go on with a present from today's game.
Yes, he will, getting a sympathetic round of applause. That will need some treatment during the half-time break that is just under 2 minutes away. Andy Braycheck, a big hit, formerly with St Helens, Warrington and the Crusaders in Super League, and he's a Welsh international as well, but Foster makes his way to the sideline. And Tommy Lee again with a deep kick, but it was outside the 40, but it's a lovely kick for all of that. But Joe Martin has to face those chasers.
Sorry, Eddie, but again, look at that chase. Hood, Harrison, Thornley, there was line, they all had their arms up saying don't break the line, just let's make sure we keep it intact. That gives the fullback then nowhere to go.
They might get another set of 6, Salford, and that's what they're aiming for, to have this ball turned over to them not far away from halfway.
And that's how easy it is when you're defending near your opponent's line. You can get numbers in. There was 4 players on that time, and then you can see them, look at them hunting in numbers, getting up, pushing Richard Moore to the sideline.
Good run from Moore though for all of that. Now then, the kick here will be important for Halifax. It'll have to go deep. But Ben Jones-Bishop was funneled back on the right. Oh, and that's a really costly error. That's a penalty to Halifax. That's manna from heaven from the championship side.
And you know, I'm going to give the credit to Halifax there. That fight, it's Ryan McNeely who's trying to play the ball as quick as he can. He's not allowing Griffin to dominate him on the floor. They need a bit more of that spirit in the second half.
Well, the first half that's had a few penalties. Can Halifax make something of this, the latest one? The ball here is with Tyra, and he puts the kick in. Probably knows there's only 15 seconds remaining. Although it looks like Dane Manning wasn't too impressed with that idea he had.
Still a couple more tackles. Ooh. Richard Moore goes like an X-set missile. A couple more tackles, Eddie. You can maybe have another couple of set goes at him.
This will be the last moment of this first half, and Greg Johnson gave himself up then. He said that'll do us. We'll turn around with a 22 points to 6 half-time advantage. So something for Tim Sheens and co to build on in that first half. Richard Marshall quickly making his way down to the dressing room as well. His team started really brightly, but after about 7 or 8 minutes, Salford got themselves to the pace of this match. Niall Evalds got the first try and the second try, Griffin added the 2 goals, 12-0. Then Manning gave Halifax hopes of a comeback. Tyre improved that, 6-12. But then Johnson and Jones-Bishop just before half-time with the other conversion from Griffin. We're 22-6 to the Super League club at the break. Another Super League qualifier coming up for you on Sky Sports Extra tomorrow. That's the channel you can access via our website, skysports.com/extra, and the Sky Sports for iPad app. It's Hull Kingston Rovers. They return from Wembley to take on the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. 2 Super League sides here battling for survival. 3 o'clock Sunday on Sky Sports Extra. Players emerging here for the second half of this qualifier between Halifax and Salford. And it's Halifax 6, Salford 22, as we are preparing to begin this second half. For 5 weeks today, it's grand final day at Old Trafford. And these 2 sides have met at Old Trafford in the past. Salford and Halifax contested the 1991 Divisional Premiership Final. Salford winning by 27 points to 20 on that particular occasion, in the days before Super League and in the day before the big night under the lights at the Theatre of Dreams. But it was a big day for these 2 clubs way back in 1991. Salford beginning this match in 5th position in the playoffs, but they look as though they're going to be climbing the ladder at the end of this. And the one thing they would definitely want to avoid, if they possibly can, indeed all the 4 Super League clubs would want to avoid this, the £1 million match on October the 3rd, where they will be taking on whichever teams finish 4th and 5th. They go to the home of the 4th place side with a knockout match for Super League at stake. We shall see what will happen over the next 4 or 5 weeks as Halifax restart the match, and Salford will try and add to this 22 points that they scored in the first half.
Eddie, and Halifax coming out a couple of minutes earlier, and then what you've got Salford coming out. They look calm, they look composed, they look focused. They know that the first half, it was all about when they had the ball and they had that good field position and they were forcing the opposition to give penalties away. They were scoring some points. Well, for Halifax, it's going to be interesting to see what Angela says, what Richard Marshall said in the dressing room at half-time.
Salford, first use of the ball in this second half, get themselves to halfway. Tommy Lee just drops the pass off to Harrison Hansen. George Griffin was hunting a possible offload that never came. Liam Hood goes right again. Lee with the kick, up and over the top, but it bounces quite kindly for Saltonstall. But whenever Halifax have the ball at the end of a Salford set of 6, they seem to be starting from deep in their own territory, don't they?
Well, when Harrison Hansen come onto the ball, then he landed on his front, he run really hard, he won that collision and he won that battle, which meant that it could have been an easier kick for Salford to get away. And then when Salford just get onside, they chase really hard, and that's why it's always difficult when you're bringing the ball away. And look how physical they are, Eddie. Harrison Hansen yet again leading the way.
Yes, Hansen, he missed only his second game of 2015 against the Bradford Bulls 2 weeks ago. Still on the 4th tackle. They're trying to make some progress forward, but Dane Manning couldn't do that with those 3 around him, so we've reached the last tackle here, and there has to be a good kick from Scott Morrell, which it is to a degree, but straight down the throat of Greg Johnson. And Johnson will run this ball back.
Well, he gets the distance, but he doesn't quite get the accuracy. Well, is this going to be a mistake? Is it a penalty? No, it's just going to be a give the ball back. Tackle was complete.
I think he shouted hell before the ball was released to Ben Jones-Bishop. Let's get the half-time news then. Angela Powers is on the sideline today.
Richard Marshall says that his team were a bit hesitant at the beginning and they let the Salford side dictate the game. They got to grips with it though and scored a good try, and the importance of this half though is not to give away penalties on the last play. They're not too negative, they're quite positive. They want to win this half, that's their aim for this one. From the other side, from Salford, they want to stay consistent, stay composed in defence and attack. They want to stop with the silly offloads, he says, and also make sure that they start this game as though they're starting from scratch. It's 0-0. And while we're just here, I want to mention that Ikram Butt is the former Bradford and Great Britain internationals here today, as Halifax have just become one of the member clubs of his White Ribbon campaign. That's Men Against Anti-Violence. A very, very good worthy cause.
Indeed, they've got a no-try decision on the field here from this plunge towards the line by George Griffin of Salford.
There's been some good movement from Salford in the opening 3 minutes of this half. He doesn't get that ball down, it lands on the leg of the Halifax player, but good signs from George Griffin and his Salford teammates.
Yeah, I just can't see the ball.
Couldn't see the ball apparently, but we've all seen the fact that it was no try, it was held up on the line, so no try, and it's the turnover on the 10-metre line.
You have a look at the Salford players, they've come out with a lot of energy. I think, Tez, you talked about it in the first half, players pushing into that next hole, making themselves available. That turns sometimes a risky offload or a risky pass into a dead cert.
It took a while for that play the ball to happen, and when it eventually did, the entire Salford defensive line was offside, but the referee allows it to go on.
Go, good, well done.
So Halifax try and work the ball away from their own line if they can, which is easier said than done. That was Manili at dummy half. Dane Manning now with a bad little run, but 4 tackles have gone. They're still, well, now they're over halfway, and that's important that they get across the halfway line in this set of 6.
Eddie, they're making meters when they're carrying the ball, aren't they? When they're playing direct, they're coming off the ruck, get to the kick here, and I'm sure Scott Morrell would like a bit more time so we can find some space, although that's good positioning from Niall Laval's the fullback, and yet again it's the birthday boy chasing that up, the number 6 Scott Morrell.
Yeah, Scott Morrell, 3rd season with Halifax, won promotion with Hull KR way back in 2006, and he actually scored a try against Rovers in these qualifiers last month, so that would have been a sweet moment for him, even though they lost that particular match. And Salford are on the halfway line. 4 tackles have gone. It was Adam Waln with the drive. This is now George Griffin again. He will play the ball to Liam Hood, and Lee will just drift the ball over the top into open space. Decent kick, and work here for Saltonstall to do once again. They turn the ball over in such good order for themselves. All square at Millwall. Wigan Catalan, 12 apiece.
That looks a good game, doesn't it? Every time they get to the kick, Salford, they're kicking into that corner, they're testing Saltonstall out. Maybe it's the kicking for the pace of Ben Jones-Bishop on the right edge. But they certainly like the look of that left edge for Halifax.
Well, they're trying to come forward again, Halifax, but it's solid defence from Tommy Lee and Liam Hood. Oh, now they're over halfway. That's a decent little run it was from Manili. And once again, Scott Morrell, high it goes off his boot. Evalds is underneath it. Oh, he's moving away from it. Bounce already. Morrell gets a try. Well, he asked for a birthday present and he's got one there. I'm not saying it was gift wrapped by Niall Evalds, but he got himself all wrong underneath the ball. It moved away from him. He got a fingertip to it and then it bounced back to Scott Morrell. And the birthday boy, Muzza, as he's known on the terraces, gets his 2nd try of these qualifiers and breathes life into Halifax.
Well, he's rolling back the years of that, and the goal comes from the initial run. I think it was Tangata who gets the player the ball. He gives the option of Morrell kicking the ball under no pressure. He gets the ball, he lofts it up into the earth. He doesn't just stand back and admire what he's done. He knows that he's got to put pressure on the opposition, and that's exactly what he does. Niall Evalds gets it all wrong, but well done, Scott Morrell. That's exactly what Halifax need.
Well, he had a spell here as the caretaker coach last year before Richard Marshall moved in, did Scott Morrell. So he's captained the side. I don't know whether he washed the kit. I don't know whether he's laid out the lines and pushed the machine that puts them out there. No, I don't think so either. But he's come up with a wonderful try there.
Hey, I'll tell you what, the TV pictures didn't do that kick justice. When Scott Morrell puts that kick in, it was swirling all over the place. And even the great Brian Morrell wouldn't have caught that pass. His father, who played for Leeds with distinction, of course, and a good kick and lead try for himself.
Tyra has added the extras. Halifax are back in this. They're only 10 points adrift again.
It's the old adage, isn't it? You see Scott Morrell, he kicks it well, puts all his weight behind it, and he leads the chase, and he mops up the scraps, and he'll love that.
Eddie, and that's the difference as well. Because there was no pressure put on Scott Morrell, he gets a clean kick away. He gets it to where exactly he wants it, and then obviously he had to be urgent with his chase.
So can they build on that early try in this second half? It's the first meeting against Salford, by the way, since the National League One season in 2008. Salford had remained full-time under Sean McRae that year. They won here at the Shea 36-18, previously won at the Old Willows 30 points to 24. And now there's a chance for some of the big men to make inroads. Adam Robinson, though, goes down in the tackle. Manili once again is the dummy half. And Luke Ambler will take it forward. His career began at Salford, Luke Ambler, the Irish international. He'll play it just inside the Red Devils' half. He's spinning it wide here with Tyra. Not the best end to that set, though. And it's popped up here for a hat-trick for Niall Evolds. He's going to beat them all to the line. They're all in hot pursuit, but he's got too much pace. It's a hat-trick for Evolds. Well, he might have gifted the try a moment ago to Scott Morrell when he misjudged the high kick down the other end, but he has paid them back big style with that. An immediate response from Niall Evolds and the Salford Red Devils, his fourth try in these qualifiers. And as I said earlier, he has been the standout figure for Salford in 2015. He really has.
Well, I'm sure Richard Marshall will be sending a message down saying, look, let's finish our sets better. You see that pass? It's a speculator at best. Connor Robinson flings that ball. And there's only one winner in that race. Niall Evolds, wonderful player with a good eye for a try. I'm not sure about the decision to pass it to Tyrant and then to pass it from Tyrant onto his winger Saltonstall, who gets a messy, untidy kick away. And that's another gift. If you thought that Scott Morrell's try was a gift, I think that one is a return.
Well, Niall Evolds has just scored his second hat-trick of his career, his first hat-trick for Salford. The first hat-trick came in 2014 when he was playing for Barrow against Halifax. Michael Dobson to try and add the extras. And Dobson doesn't miss those. Michael Dobson, loads of experience, 22 years old. Niall Evolds a hat-trick here in the qualifiers.
Well, Connor Robinson, he creates that bit of space on the edge for Steve Tyler and Saltonstall, but that was a poor kick from Saltonstall and just gives the ball to Niall Evolds, and as soon as he picks it up, well, it's obviously going to be try time, isn't it? They've just gifted a few points there to Salford. They need to be better than that.
Niall Evolds, he began the season probably as the understudy to Kevin Locke, the New Zealand international. Kevin Locke has left Salford now. He's playing for Wakefield, of course. Well, he's played really well all year, as young Niall.
And sometimes you think, why don't you just stick with the youngsters that you've got? Because the last 13 games of last year, he was absolutely brilliant, Niall Evolds. So bringing somebody else in, are you replacing like for like, or are you just going to pay a contract and big money out to somebody because they've got a big name in the international game? I'd stick with the young kids.
Well, he's been a ray of sunshine, there's no doubt, as the sun breaks through the grey clouds here in Halifax. Now then, I'm sure that they will want to do better with this kick return, Halifax, than they did just a few moments ago. And Saltonstall, though, he loves the offload, doesn't he? Gets the ball away, and Joe Martin makes a few more metres progress.
Well, maybe bring Mitch Callane back on now, Ed, I think. He's a big, powerful man. He started the game strong. He took the battle towards Salford in the opening 20 minutes. They need a bit of punch up front, I think.
Yes, he did about half an hour in the first half, didn't he? And he was involved in just about everything. They do need him back on the field if possible. No doubt Richard Marshall is just keeping him on the sideline to try and recharge the batteries. Manili waiting again at the play the ball. Goes down that left-hand side. Little skip inside from Connor Robinson. But they've now reached tackle number 5. So here's the last one for Halifax. Morrell again. Gets the kick up high once more. Oh, and Griffiths, he's dropped it as Griffin. And it's back to one. There's a chance, a great chance here for Ben Heaton. He's got the ball away once again. No, now then. Wanted to plonk that ball down, but he didn't. Morrell gives it width. on the bounce. It finds its way to Tyra. Tyra gets it to the winger outside, and it is Saltonstall who's got over for another try, I think. Hang on, the video referee is going to be called into play here. They have a try on the field, but they want to check the in-touch and the grounding.
I think he gets it, Eddie.
I think it's very close, Tez. He's got no space, no space.
Brilliant finish.
Well, there you go, you were right. Mark that down. Terry O'Connor was right.
He's got good eyes from 100 yards.
Yeah. Do you know, look at Ian Thornlow, he's trying to push him out, and you've got to be ever so strong to keep pushing off your left foot to give you the chance to stay in the field of play. That's a brilliant finish.
Yes, great try from Saltonstall. 21 years of age, from the Warrington Wolves Academy. 2 tries on his debut against Whitehaven in February, ever present this season, and a try now in the qualifiers. And Halifax telling Salford they won't go away easily.
Well, this is an outstanding finish. He's got no space to work. A booming pass from Scott Burrell. Untidily finds Tyra, who gives his winger half a chance, and that's all he needed. Was involved in the World Cup in 2013 with Italy. He's got a lot of talent and a lot of ability, James Saltonstall.
So, good try from the young man. And can Stephen Tyra add the goals? Remember when Tyra burst onto the scene at St Helens? He was deemed to be a real star of the future. He's missed with that. In fact, if I remember rightly, in his very, very early days, people were comparing Steve Tyra to the great Eric Ashton. Do you remember that?
Yep, he burst onto the scene, big, talented youngster, so strong. And Salford, Halifax, will not go away. Steve Tyra supplies the pass, but that's a brilliant finish.
Super finish.
Saltonstall.
Super finish from Saltonstall. When you think about Tyra being compared to the late, great Eric, and he is one of the subjects of the new statue that's been erected and unveiled at Wembley last week in the Challenge Cup final celebrations for the 120th anniversary of Rugby League, and his lovely wife, Eric's lovely wife, Doreen, was there. It was good to see her once again, and she's a very, very proud lady. Wigan have hit the front against the Catalan Dragons.
Well, did you know that Terry O'Connor in his pomp was compared to some of the best front rowers in the game? Often people would say, compared to the best front rowers, Terry O'Connor is rubbish.
You must have a response and a reply to that, Terry. I'll give you a moment to think.
Later on, Eddie, when we're off, I'll have a response to that one.
Tangata gets Halifax on the front foot again, and the little chip and angle kick as well. Ben Jones-Bishop fields it, does well. But great chasing by Halifax. They've been enthused by that try from Saltonstall, that's for sure.
Well, the spirits have certainly been lifted, haven't they? And there's no doubt in this Halifax side that they can defend. They've already showed it in this middle-eight competition. As I said, when they played the opening game, when they were here, when they played against Widnes, it was just 4-0 on 77 minutes.
Yeah, they were 0-0 half-time, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they lost then 34-12 with Hull KR. And then they lost to Sheffield 2 weeks ago, which was a bitter disappointment to them. But well done, the Eagles, to be fair.
Well, Braychek put another big hit on them. It was young Wall, and he put it on number 20, who just run off the pitch.
Hurried clearance kick from Dobson.
Again, Eddie, and that was hurried kick because the pressure that was put on Michael Dobson on the last play. So they're not giving up the ghost. They know all the basic plays in rugby, what they've got to do. They've got to win that last tackle, they've got to make sure it's a slow play the ball, and they've got to pressure the kicker, and they're doing that.
And in terms of Salford, Tez, what they've got to do is keep the composure, just ride this wave of enthusiasm that Halifax have got, wait till they get some momentum back, and then do what they do best.
This is Luke Ambler now for Halifax, just over halfway. There's the ball to Manili, and that's Big Adam Tangata, the Cook Island international. 10 metres inside the Salford half of the field. Ambler again, that's touched. That was touched by Patterson. He's got a chance here, they've got a great chance here. The ball played back into centre field, and it is another try for Jacob Fairbank. The referee wants to have a look at this via the video referee. They have a try, but all the signs are But Furbank has come up with a try right underneath the sticks. Was there a little touch in there by a Salford hand or what?
There was a touch in hand. It's Corey Patterson. When the ball goes backwards here, his right arm just comes out. There's no mistake from a Halifax player in a blue and white shirt. Connor Robinson was the first to react, and then Jacob Furbank was the second player, along with Dane Manning, who knows that he's just got to put himself where the action is, and that's centre field to score that try. There's not a problem with this, Eddie. It just will not go away like a nasty little itch.
Got the word in the air, has the referee, Joe Cobb. Look what it means to the Halifax supporters behind those sticks. So Jacob Furbank has played in the last 4 on loan from Huddersfield. He's played for 6 different clubs, this lad, while on loan from Huddersfield.
Do you know, they've just got to play it tough, and that's exactly what they've been doing. In the last 10 minutes of this game, the forwards have been running hard. They've been putting pressure on Michael Dobson. They know that he is the key man for this Salford Red Devils side. And Jacob Furbank, well, he breathes some life back into Halifax. And do they believe now, with a conversion to come underneath the sticks, that they can go on and win this game?
2 tries in 4 minutes, they should. And if Stephen Tyrer converts this from bang in front, which he will, they are back within a converted try. 22 points to 28. Salford wobbling slightly.
Well, a very positive action, good riposte from Halifax. The ball's bouncing about on the floor. It's Connor Robinson, the first to pick it up. But I was watching the Salford players while that conversion was being taken. See if anybody was talking, who was talking, what the body language was like. And it looked pretty good from Salford.
So Tangata takes it forward again and is met by Forster. Wigan have stretched their lead in London, 24-12 to the Warriors. The battle for the League Leaders' Shield is not over yet after Leeds' defeat last night to St Helens. Wigan, if they hang on for a win there and they push on for a win, they'll be 2 points adrift with 3 to play. Morel gives it a bit of width. And down it goes to Andy Braycheck.
It's a determined run from Braycheck, that. Looking to get on the outside of Salford, take it back to centre field now.
And he put himself about Harrison Hansen.
Captain's knock, hasn't he, in defence?
Morel again, running this. It's on the last tackle. Eccleston has humped the kick downfield. And Ben Jones-Bishop has to work this ball back. Can he get past Ben Heaton? Yes, he can. This is what Ben Jones-Bishop does so well. He breaks tackles and he has pace. Oh, Halifax would be disgruntled about that. But Ben Jones-Bishop, second try of the match for him, picks this ball up behind his own goal line and sets off for a 100-metre try. The Halifax defence was questionable. They won't like looking at that again on the DVD, but credit Ben Jones-Bishop. Credit him with the heart and the strength to break through.
Well, he's such a deceptive player, Ben Jones-Bishop. Me and Ted were talking before the game, looking at the teams, and he asked me, he said, is Ben Jones-Bishop really that quick? And I said, he's so deceptive. People assume that he's travelling slowly, but it's because of the length of his stride. It probably takes him about 6 or 7 steps to get up to full stride, and then he's at full pace and can maintain that for as long as he needs. It's a fabulous finish, and he had a bit to do right from his own try line, 100 metres plus, and a good way to just dampen things down, get rid of the flames of enthusiasm for Halifax and get Salford back in this game.
Indeed so. He certainly has pricked the bubble there with that. So we're approaching the hour mark, and Salford get back in the ascendancy once again, and will do so even more if Dobson can kick this. And Dobson does kick that. So 34-22. Back-to-back tries from Halifax. Responded with this magnificent effort from Ben Jones-Bishop. Others, you know, might just have let that ball go dead.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of players might have just waited for that ball to go dead. Not this man, Ben Jones-Bishop. That's poor defence. The 12 points in front now, Salford. This is a brilliant try from Ben Jones-Bishop. But that was gift. That was an absolute gift for them to run through 3 plays. Now I'll go back to the first half when Niall Valls picks the ball up just on halfway from the kick from Saltonstall. That's 12 points that they've gifted the opposition.
Carl Forster has just returned from that nasty bang in the face that he got in the first half. There he is involved immediately. Logan Tompkins clapping his hands behind him, wants to get on with it now and wants to really put Halifax to bed in the final quarter here. But they've been spirited, haven't they, the Championship club?
And they've just got to keep going. Even though they've conceded that try, they've still, as I said before, they've got to believe that they can go on and win this game. They've got 20 minutes now to all work that extra bit hard for each other, to pick up 2 points, to get off the bottom of the table.
Hansen takes it almost up to the halfway line on tackle number 4 for Salford. Tompkins gets it infield to Corey Patterson. Steps over the grounded man. Tompkins gets it away to Dobson, and Dobson, lovely kick, beautiful kick, measured from Michael Dobson. He's done that all the way through his career.
Well, that's what he's known for, isn't it? Kicking, again, no pressure, just drops it onto toe. It's nice and easy. Exactly where he wants it, kicks it into the corner. He knows now. The clock, well, that's just ticking down now nicely. They're in front by 12 points. All the pressure is on Halifax. It is not on Salford.
Member of the Dream Team, 2009-2010. Michael Dobson, almost 200 appearances in the British game now and over 1,500 points, so he's got bags of experience. And his partnership with Rangi Chase was much vaunted and much expected of this year. Oh, and there's a problem there for Ben Eaton. He was surrounded, and Corey Patterson was looking to pinch the ball off him as well before the others arrived.
Again, Harrison Hansen on that right edge. He's an absolute menace. If you're a Halifax player, you're looking out where Harrison Hansen is, because he's shooting out the line, trying to just knock someone into next week.
18 minutes remaining here at the Shea. This 4th match in the qualifiers for these two. Good offload off the ground by Mitch Colleen.
Well, this is it now. Do you throw caution to the wind now if you're Halifax?
Yeah, I think they have to, don't they?
Well, they have to a degree, but they won't when they do throw caution to the wind. That's a great offload, to be fair. He's not tackled Tangata, so he can get the ball away as well. Here's Culhane again, keeping this ball alive.
And if you're going to play that offloading game, you need to make sure that your teammates are in support. Don't switch off when anyone's carrying that ball.
Off the outside of the boot from Morrell. The ball is dropped, and here goes Greg Johnson. This lad's quick. This fella's quick, and they won't catch him. Second try for Johnson, and he's going over underneath the posts. And that should see Halifax off. Every time they make a mistake at one end, Ben Heaton dropped that ball, but as I speak, he is receiving treatment because he landed awkwardly, probably winded himself. The ball shot out of his grasp, went backwards. He's also hurt his neck as well, by the looks of things. And Johnson dropped on it quickly, picked it up off the ground, and heard down the other end of the field.
Well, you get punished, don't you, by teams that have got sheer speed, and Salford have 2 of those in Ben Jones-Bishop and Greg Johnson, the former Batley winger. Just look at the speed here. He's got belief in himself. He doesn't look to come inside. He doesn't look to change direction, because he believes that if he just keeps his foot on the pedal, he's going to score that try. He's one of those players that is such an exciting lad when he gets the ball, because you know that he'll back himself. And when he gets this ball from Michael Dobson, well, there's only going to be one winner.
Well, he's blistering pace, Greg Johnson. And you knew as soon as he picked the ball up, he could outstrip and outsprint everybody. A lovely finisher. Aren't we blessed with some fabulous wingers this year? With Marble, we've seen some outstanding finishes, some acrobatics in the corner, but for out-and-out pace, there isn't many as fast and as good as Greg Johnson.
Josh Griffin adds the extras. 40 points to 22 now for Salford. Johnson's second try, the 7th try for the Salford Red Devils, scored by only 3 players. Evalds has got a hat-trick, Jones-Bishop's got 2, and now Greg Johnson has got 2.
And And this is the highest away score. Eddie, look at that, 40 points. Last time they scored 40 points was down in the south of France when they drew with the Catalan Dragons. So Salford have shown in this game that when they need to, they can score those tries. When they're under pressure, they can pull something out of the bag. But there's still a problem here with Ben Heaton receiving medical help from the doctor, from the physio.
He landed awkwardly. I wonder if it's a whiplash with his head hitting the ground.
Well, we saw that yesterday when Jamie Peacock, he took a knock, he hit the ground.
No, it wasn't whiplash.
No.
Maybe he's landed awkwardly on that right elbow and shoulder, has he? All his weight's there. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, he's back on his feet anyway. He's getting himself back into
Eddie,
his half of the field, waiting for this kick-off. Richard Marshall will be frustrated about this.
Eddie, you say that he landed on his elbow, his shoulder. I don't know how many you've seen, but he was limping back then.
And he's limping now as he chases this kick-off as well. Maybe got a bang. Do you think he got a bang in the kidneys or just above the hip?
Maybe on the hip, Eddie.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, Terry. I'm not like you. I didn't study at university for things like that.
No. I don't like to go on about it though, Ed.
University?
University of Life, Barry. University of Life. One away win of the last 9 for Salford. A run that started in the cup exit at Lee in April, but only win away from home prior to today against Wakefield in June. So this will give Salford some confidence moving forward.
And do you know what? It's about the performance, not just about the 2 points, it's about the performance as well. Because when they drop into this team, the teams like Halifax and Sheffield are going to want to turn up, and they're going to want to make a name for themselves, like we said in the first half. So it's always going to be difficult, they're always going to be tested.
And Salford play Hull Kingston Rovers and Widnes, their last 2, and they are both away from home. It's Sheffield at home next. You would think that would be another 2 points for them, but after that it's Widnes away and Hull KR away. I wonder where they'll end up at the end of this. The referee said that was a one-on-one steal that went backwards. Salford might have been a little fortunate to get the nod there, but we'll have a look at that maybe later, because here is Krasnicki, and he keeps the movement going once again. Patterson and Matua, and suddenly Halifax are not able to wrap the man up and stop these offloads, and they're killing them, because here's Tompkins now. He finds Josh Griffin, and Griffin gets to the line almost, just a fraction short. He'll get to his feet and play it. Tompkins fires the pass back to Dobson. Dobson then into centre field to Tommy Lee. Lee helps it on to Evalls. Evalls then to Thornley. Thornley to Ben Jones-Bishop. Hat-trick time for Ben Jones-Bishop. Ben Jones-Bishop gets his 3rd try. He gets Salford's 8th. And I think we can safely say now that Salford have got their Super 8 qualifying campaign back on the rails. And it was okay that it was one-on-one.
The point being that Halifax have struggled all day with the physicality of Salford, that superior body shape, effort on effort. And this is a try that's born out of good skill and good execution. And Ben Jones-Bishop, he doesn't fluff his lines. Players in spaces, good passes, accurate passes. Ian Thornley releases his winger, who has 10 metres to go at. But it all came about, they were struggling with Rennie Matua over on this left edge. They couldn't put him to ground. A quick play of the ball, and then 2 tackles later, they score across in the right-hand corner.
So Michael Dobson, can he add the extras? He's got 100% so far from his 2 shots, having taken over the role recently from Josh Griffin. Left-footed kicker, the correct side of the pitch for him. How about that? How about that from Michael Dobson? 46-22 Salford, 12 minutes remaining. Ian Watson's come downstairs.
Walks past Gareth Carvel as well. Former Warrington forward, former Leeds player. But you've got that man, Ben Jones-Bishop. He believes that he can score tries from anywhere on the park. Liam Hood now talking with Tim Sheens and Ian Watson. This is what we want you to do, son. Been absolutely brilliant for us. And do you know what? This is Salford at their best in the second half. I think they've showed that they can score tries when they need to tough it out, when they need to defend. They can do that as well.
I thought Olsi Krasniqi had got that all wrong then. A bouncing ball. I bet his heart was in his mouth then. But when you look at the players who aren't on show today, and you've mentioned some of them, it's not fair to mention all of them because it's been about the players that have played. Look at Olsi Krasniqi here. Hits it with his right hand, catches it with his left.
And now Salford have a penalty.
And that's just the frustration now. They know that this game's gone, 24 points in front. Scott Taylor, big and strong, 3 players struggling to take him to ground, trying to buy that extra bit of time. He's been good, Eddie. Look how hard Harrison Hansen runs.
Yeah, he's played well. He has played well. I don't think that Salford will be getting carried away with this because it is against championship opposition. There are bigger fish to fry in those last 2 matches.
There is, Eddie, but with all due respect to Halifax, that they've turned up with an attitude that they want to play. They're going to raise the game to play against Salford.
Yes, they are.
They want to make the name for themselves, like some of these players who've got championship experience, the likes of Greg Johnson, the likes of George Griffin.
Looks like Wigan are going to close the gap on the Leeds Rhinos at the top of the Super League. 30 points to 12 now at Millwall. 30 points to 16, I beg your pardon, at Millwall, the home of Millwall Football Club, the Den, in London. So it'll be a 2-point gap between themselves and Leeds at the top. Meanwhile, here is Johnson. He's looking for his hat-trick now. Has he got it? Has Greg Johnson got his hat-trick?
Again, Eddie, I'm going to say he scored this.
Yeah, I think he has as well. It's Liam Hood again. Feints to go to the open side. That little drop of the shoulder comes back, and then Greg Johnson, he's looking like he's going to pass. There you go, there's confirmation of the try. Another quality finish. So we've got hat-tricks for Evalds, Ben Jones-Bishop
and Johnson.
And Johnson, 3 threes. There we go.
There's nothing wrong with this. I think Ben Heaton was complaining to the referee to have a little look at something else.
Something back play he's talking about. But
well, there's no tug on him here.
No.
Liam Hood's got every right to go into him, pass that ball, and then the finish here, the strength, the speed, the accuracy to put that ball down, and the awareness as well, where the white line is.
Prize given by Joe Cobb. Remarkably, we've seen 3 hat-tricks here today from 3 Salford players. We haven't had a hat-trick from 1 Salford player all year until this afternoon. Can you believe it?
Or maybe it's the telling off after the Bradford game.
Marwan Kukash has done it again.
Well, it certainly inspired him. It certainly lifted him. They were told off like naughty schoolboys, and they've come out. And you know what? They've answered all the questions, haven't they?
They have. I think, to be fair, it's got a lot to do with Ian Watson and a lot to do with Tim
And a lot to do with the players as well,
yes,
who are looking at themselves in the mirror, thinking that we need to be better than what we've shown.
Josh Griffin misses with the conversion attempt. Little shake of the head.
I think they'll be pleased with the day's work. There's obviously areas and aspects of the game that Ian Watson and Tim Sheens will look at, and they'll try and fix that up in the week, but job done, mission accomplished, and 9 minutes to go in this match. Yeah,
priceless for Ian Watson, isn't it, to have Tim Sheens alongside him. I don't know how long it's going to last for. Nobody does as yet.
No, but it's absolutely brilliant.
Oh.
Him and Martin Gleeson will be learning so much. Both fabulous players, as Barry said earlier on. Ian Watson knew everything, knew how to get around a pitch, knew how to break teams down, but then to learn off one of the masters of rugby league in Tim Sheens. It's invaluable, isn't it?
Very much so. 8 minutes or thereabouts remaining. Salford looking to post more points. You never know just how important points difference will be in this qualifying competition. Dobson in centre field. Dumped to the ground with a bit of help. Furbank was there, and so too was Dane Manning. Last tackle, control kick. And a good chase led by Dobson again. The fitness level has certainly dropped for Halifax. It hasn't for Wigan. They're 36-16 up in London against the Catalan Dragons.
Probably the scoreboard's got something to do with it as well, Eddie. But you look at this Salford side and the rhythm that they're in now, where they know that some of the players who've scored those hat-tricks, but again, it's been a decent defensive performance, and I think Harrison Hanson's led that. You know, when you get questioned by your coach, you get questioned by your teammates, the fans, the owner of the club, you want to go out there and put in a performance. They won't want to concede 22 points, but they've scored 50.
Yes, 50 up for Salford. Halifax looking for more here, but they've reached the 5th tackle, so last one coming up for them. It's not much of a kick, that. And straight into Eval's hands. He's after 4 now.
And because it doesn't go into the earth, it's not a contest. They were quite content, just kick it along the floor. Well, it's not a greasy surface. Niall Eval's, he's safe as houses. He was under no pressure. Well, there's one man under pressure here, and that's Griffin. Was there a mistake there from Griffin?
Yes, there is. Knock on is the decision of the referee. He had Ben Heaton all round him.
Yeah,
it wasn't the best pass that he received, actually, to be fair to him.
No, it wasn't. It was a dipping pass. I think Ben Jones-Bishop thought he was going to be picking up Greg Johnson. Greg Johnson just pulls out of catching that ball. It goes to Josh Griffin, knocks the ball. When he catches it, does he knock it backwards? Does he roll over it? Knock on? Yeah, got no problem with that.
Six and a half minutes remaining, and Ben Kay thought he was away from the base of the scrum and on his way to the line. They'll be looking for a bit of consolation here. You know, to score 22 points against Super League opposition, it's not a bad effort from Halifax.
Not. And you're right, they'll be looking for that consolation, maybe score a further 8 points. They've got good shape here on the left of the scrum.
And Joe Cobb wants this. He wants this scrum sorting out properly. They had 2 attempts at putting the ball in. 3rd time lucky.
I'll just run back into traffic, Connor Robinson then. Nothing played on that occasion.
Ben Kay gets it away. Here's Dane Manning again. Taylor is all round him, on top of him.
Good ball.
Oh, good ball. Tangata goes over. There is the consolation for Halifax. Said 22 wasn't a bad score against Super League opposition. How about 26? And how about 28? Because that's probably what's coming with the kick. Adam Tangata.
Well, this is what you need off your big front rowers. You've got the 2 prop forwards, Mitch Cullen, just acting as the ball player, acting as the scrum half. He wants his fellow prop forward to hit a hard line. He does that on the opposite side of the post, gets that space and gets that try.
Well, his claiming a place at prop forward coincided with the 9-match winning run that took Halifax into these qualifiers. And he's unstoppable from that range, isn't he? 28-50 it is.
Well, that's a quality play from the 2 bookends, one to the other. A pass right on the button, running into space. And you're right, it is only consolation, and there's been some good phases of this game for Halifax. Richard Marshall, he'll learn a lot about his team during these middle eights. He'll learn who can step up, who can perform at this level.
28 points against a Super League club. It's a great effort.
And go back to those 12 points, I do believe that they gifted to Salford. So then if you look at it and it would have been 40 points to 28, it's not a bad performance.
No penalties, guys.
Here they come again. Halifax, the try scorer. Oh, he's only just about hanging on to this. He gets his other arm across his body at the right moment. And now Fairbank.
Hold the 10. Wait.
Ben Kay.
2.
And they spread it wide again. Here they come once more. But Neville's and Thornley dealing with the threat.
Maybe still looking for another try here.
They are. Less than 5 minutes to go now. Tangata, he hasn't given this up, has he?
A number of the players haven't given it up, Eddie. You can't question their effort, can you? Maybe some of the execution of some of the tackling.
High kick again from Morrell. Ben Jones-Bishop's after this time. He pouches it safely. You know what he can do. That's why they were on to him very, very quickly. Dane Manning and also Connor Robinson. We've already seen 100-metre try from Ben Jones-Bishop here today.
And you learn from your mistakes, don't you? So Greg Johnson, Niall Eval's, Ben Jones-Bishop, they're the players who've all scored the hat-tricks. They're the players who've all touched the ball the first 3 times here. So you've got to close those fast men down.
and moving forward for 2016 and beyond, and they do have ambition in Halifax to regain their Super League status one of these days. This will be invaluable to them in the Championship next year.
Of course it is, Eddie. You want to play against the best. You want to challenge yourself week in, week out. You want to get up into Super League. You want to get up and you go training, be that full-time pro. And as you said quite rightly at the beginning of these game, a lot of these players go to work. They'll do 8, they'll do 10-hour shifts. They'll come training, and then they've got to mix it with the big boys here.
Yes, a lot of the Halifax players have got proper jobs, haven't they?
A bit like you, Eddie.
Absolutely.
Can you call golf a proper job?
What's that? I can't remember. What do you do in that game? You know?
Hey, don't ask me.
I've forgotten all about that.
No
now.
idea. The harder I try and hit it, the shorter the distance it travels.
You drive a very fine drinks trolley, though, Barry. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Consume most of it yourself, but there
Well,
you go.
one for you, one for me.
It's scrum down, head and feet here to Halifax late on.
Yeah, another set of 6 here.
Pulled out by Logan Tompkins.
Logan Tompkins, yeah, makes a play for that ball.
With a little bit of help from Hood as well.
There it is, the right arm snatch from Logan Tompkins, the number 37 for Salford.
2 minutes remaining then.
I'll tell you what is going to be difficult, picking a man of the match from this. We've got 3 players with hat-tricks. So unless one of them scores another,
We'll give them a third of it each.
there's been some good performance. I think Harrison Hansen,
I was just going to say that.
he's done a lot of the spade work, a lot of the donkey work.
Yes, but the Fancy Dans, they get all the credit. It's ending a little bit bad-temperedly. Adam Wallen just going in a bit high.
Well, they've certainly got that passion, haven't they, Salford and Halifax. Halifax boys rushing in here. Scott Morrell gets one for the cause off Adam Wallen, over the top. And then it's Saltonstall that comes in, has a little push on Adam Wallen. I'm surprised they're not seeing Richard Morgo running in.
Well, he's matured, Richard.
He could cause a fight in an empty house.
Yeah, it might have been a bit too far for him.
You can say that and get away with it. I don't.
Good lad, Rich.
So here come Halifax. Last hurrah from them, led by Calhane, who's been really impressive every time he's been on the field. And chances here again. They're going to get over. They are going to get over with Joe Martin. Or are they over with Joe Martin?
Yeah, they're going to look for that double movement.
I think it's a double movement.
Yes, they are looking for the double movement.
He almost accidentally finds
yeah.
himself in the space. There's the confirmation of the double movement as we've seen it. His forearm hits the floor and then he promotes the ball. I don't think you can question. I don't think you can make a
even
case
after
for that
looking at it
being.
in real time, it still looks like a double movement.
Yeah. So that's the penalty to Salford. Joe Martin thought he was over. It's his first appearance of the year, this, Joe Martin. He's only 20. And it would have been a nice way to finish it, but not to be.
It would have been a nice way for that man, Richard Marshall, the coach of Halifax, to finish the game, finish on a positive manner.
Marlon Billy there in the runner's t-shirt, former Swinton winger. He was a big, fine, strapping winger in his day, still looks in good nick. Although, he's wearing earrings, Eddie. I'm not sure that's in the laws of water carriers.
Apparently it's okay if you put plasters over the top of them.
Well, I can't respond to that, I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to join in. We can say what we want.
I know. I've got a job to look after. You two haven't. There we go. That's the final siren. That's the end of the match. And Halifax have gone down bravely, but Salford, they march on. Big win for them. We've had hat-tricks from 3 players. It's 50 points to Salford. It's 28 to Halifax. It was 22-6 at half-time. Hat-tricks from Eccles, Jones, Bishop and Johnson. They hadn't had a hat-trick from any of their players this year before that. And Halifax battling away, but still, as you can see, despite that, they are at the bottom of the table with no points. Having said that, Salford have moved up to second in the table, and that will be good as far as they are concerned. Don't forget this tomorrow from the qualifiers again. Hulkingston Rovers coming back from Wembley. They take on Wakefield at 3 o'clock. Sky Sports Extra on the website, on the Sky Sports iPad app. And next week, this is what we've got. Castleford Saints, the shootout for fourth at least. Wigan Hull, Wigan going now because they've beaten Catalan today for the League Leaders Shield. Next Saturday, Hull KR Bradford, followed quickly by Catalan Dragons against Leeds. Those two on 5, the first two on 1. From all of us here at the Shea, goodbye.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.